Arsenal took on Everton today at Goodison Park, a ground that has not been a happy hunting ground for Arsenal in the last few years. However, they did come away with a 1-0 victory, and that puts them in good company. They are now tied for second, all teams still chasing Manchester City. Hey guys, my name is Izzy. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Pulse Football Talk. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can keep up to date with all the info that's happening in the Premier League and all over the footballing world. But right now, we're going to be talking about Arsenal against Everton. In recent times, Everton have had the better of Arsenal. They had only lost 3 games in the last 8. Last season, they lost 4-0 away at the Emirates. But they did dent Arsenal's early season form by beating them 1-0 at Goodison Park when Sean Dyche had just taken over and Arsenal were trying to still stay ahead of City. So what happened in this game? Not a lot from Everton, but a decent amount from Arsenal. Arsenal took the lead in the second half thanks to Leandro Trossard, who had come in to replace Gabby Martinelli, who had himself seen a goal chalked off for offside a little bit earlier when Edin Nketiah had been deemed to have been offside when Beto, the striker, was trying to block a ball and it ricocheted into his path. Fabio Vieira then supplied the ball to Martinelli and then he scored the goal. Up until that point, Arsenal were by far the better team, and they had looked as though they were threatening for a while. Everton were defensively resilient, but you almost always felt as though a goal was coming. So when eventually halftime came in and the score was still 0-0, understandably, there was a little bit of jitter from Arsenal fans, and this is being a ground that they hadn't won at for 6 years. They felt a little bit of pressure, especially playing so much later than Manchester City and Liverpool and Tottenham at this point, who had all gotten victories. So the second half came in and the same ebb and flow continued. Arsenal were still the aggressors and Everton looked as though they were just trying to keep up with them and possibly just prevent themselves from losing this game. There was no real fight. Everton did have 1 or 2 looks at the Arsenal goal, but David Raya was pretty much comfortable. One of the interesting things about this game was the fact that Aaron Ramsdale was dropped or maybe rested. And we are going to be waiting to see what Arteta's thinking about this is going to be, especially when the Champions League game against PSV Eindhoven takes place this week. If Raya still holds on to the goalkeeping spot as far as this weekend coming up, then you know that maybe there might be a little bit of change at the back line. He might be the one who now takes over. It's going to be looking a little harsh on Ramsdale, who hasn't made that much of a mess in the Arsenal goal. A lot of his performances have been very good since he joined. He was one of the people who was much maligned when he first joined, and he's proven a lot of Arsenal fans and a lot of naysayers wrong. The idea that they want 2 competing number ones who could start at any of the other top 6 sides, maybe aside from Alisson and Ederson, is pretty interesting. Now, where this is going to take Arsenal for the rest of the season, we are not too sure. Arteta seems to have a plan and he is sticking by it. And he sounds very plucky when he's talking, even in the post-match interviews, batting away most of the questions that came his way about Ramsdale not starting. We didn't see Havertz start this game. I think it was a very wise decision to take him out of the firing line. It's something that I'd thought that Arteta was going to do when I was having this conversation in my preview on Friday. The idea for him to do that was good because Fabio Vieira was not too special in this game, but he did keep the midfield ticking. He almost gave Martinelli an assist for the first goal, and he seemed to be okay. He had been knocking on the door for a while, and I think he deserved his role in the team today. As far as Martinelli's injury, that might be a little bit worrying for Arsenal because that front 3 has been playing decently. Arsenal were not too special in this game. They didn't have to do too much to negate whatever Everton was trying to throw at them. Everton, having beaten Arsenal in this fixture a few times in the last few years, you would think they would come into this match with a lot more confidence, and I just didn't see that. They didn't really cause the Arsenal goal too many issues. There were not any harrowing misses or any periods of dominance that you would have expected them to try and exert on Arsenal's defense. The substitutions later on, Havertz did come in and Trossard did make the difference in this game. I think that the fact that Martinelli might be injured for a little bit is going to be all right in as far as Trossard is concerned, because it's going to give him a little bit of an extended run in the games now. That is something that I think he has deserved since January. He has been a very good player, usually 7 out of 10 whenever he plays. He doesn't really make a huge mess of his opportunities when they're handed to him. As far as Everton, they have just been doing exactly what they've been doing this whole season. They are not doing much. Their attack is pale. Their midfield is not imposing, and their defense is leaking goals. Considering that Everton have had a lot of bad starts, there are a lot of teams that you would expect to be worse than Everton. The 3 promoted sides have not covered themselves in glory, and Luton are looking as though they are going to go down. Maybe as bad as Derby County in the 2007-2008 season. But Everton are going to seriously be hoping that there are 3 worse sides than them this season, because they are not showing any signs of getting any better. As far as Arsenal, they're now keeping up to pace with Liverpool and what Manchester City are doing. They're also fending off a lot of the questions about their midfield and their defensive position, as far as Gabriel, who's now had a little bit of a run in the games. He did have 1 or 2 moments today when he looked a little leggy towards the end, but you would hope that eventually he would get going, especially with the run of games that he's been having. So far, so good for Arsenal. There's not much I can say about them in this game other than the fact that they were not too special, but they didn't need to be special because Everton were woeful. They have been awful for a while now, and I just don't see any way that they are going to avoid being one of the 3 or 4 worst teams this season. Now, unless they go and get a new manager and try and get some type of bounce in the middle or towards the end of the season, maybe that might save them again, because it seems like they always go for a last-ditch effort to try and save themselves. Now, they have been relegation candidates for a few years. They always seem to get away with it. But just like Sunderland, one day that trap door is going to open and they might not be ready for it. This is looking like it might be that season, unless they find a way to rouse their team. It's just not happening. I can't see it. As far as the title race, it's going to be hard for a lot of teams to live up with Manchester City. That's all I got for right now for this video, guys. Stay tuned. I do have a Kai Havertz video that I've been working on for a while. Watch out for that either on Monday or Tuesday. I'm going to try and see if I might put it out tomorrow. But that's all for the Arsenal-Everton game. Arsenal keep it ticking. A 1-0 victory. They break the Goodison Park curse. And here's to more for that. As an Arsenal fan, I am extremely happy. Until next time, guys, peace.